month of July, the kind of rainfall that we've seen, Karthik, this is unprecedented. What's happening in Delhi NCR, and we discussed the Gurgaon story yesterday because it's important to note that this is a hub for working class community, completely inundated, memes on social media. And while memes are good, it's good to have a hearty laugh. It also reflects very, very poorly on the state of infrastructure. Entire North India, and these are rains just ahead of time. Many would say this is not monsoon, this is pre-monsoon. So if pre-monsoon is this bad, God knows what happens when monsoon hits in late July. It appears that we are caught unprepared.
So, Shweta, unfortunately, I'm not surprised. It's not something we haven't seen before. Of course, we haven't seen this torrential rain ever in living memory, at least my living memory. And even reports suggest that since the 1980s, I think 83, 84, Delhi NCR has not seen rains of this magnitude. And it's not surprising that the kind of havoc which has been created due to poor infrastructure in the satellite city of Gurugram, because remember, even a few showers every now and then, even on these torrential rainfalls, even a few showers every now and then would result in traffic jams, would result in water logging, would result in underpasses being unusable. And then, of course, a bus breaks down or a car breaks down or an auto rickshaw breaks down and you have queues and queues of jam. But what we are seeing this year, of course, is absolutely horrid. And these are visuals running off Gurugram. Of course, these are better visuals which, which don't show the water logging, but I'm sure we'll get to the water logging also. But I think what is scary this time around specifically is that, these are the memes, right? These are the memes that are doing the, this is Udyog Vihar Lake and Ansal Plaza Ocean. Well, unfortunate. I mean, I feel for the people whose cars are floating away. And I wonder how much insurance they will be able to seek for cars drifting away rather than meeting with accidents as they are more commonly defined. But I think what is worrisome this time around is Yamuna breaching its 206-meter evacuation threshold. And we are right on the banks of Yamuna in Sector 125, Noida, and it is visible. If you were to go up to the terrace and see, it seems like the river is pretty much here on our doorstep. So it is, I mean, infrastructure up until now, Noida was able to hold its own and hold it pretty well. But if these rains don't subside anytime soon, and if the water trickling down from Himachal and Uttarakhand continues to flow into the Ganga and the tributaries of Yamuna, remember, Haridwar was flooded yesterday, right? I've been told Roorkee has received floods. So these are on the foothills of Uttarakhand's Himalayan terrains, and water flowing now into the Yamuna breaching its evacuation threshold of 206 meters is worrisome. And I wonder how long before Noida also begins to cripple. And let's just hope these rains do subside a little bit. Let nature's fury not take a toll on Noida's infrastructure and life and property around the banks of the Yamuna, as it has not the banks of rivers, but poor infrastructure has in the case of Gurugram and Delhi.
I mean, although these rainfalls are worse than expected, worse than what we've seen last year or year before this, this is not unexpected, Karthik, and we discussed this. This is climate crisis at its best. We've seen signs of climate crisis. Perhaps it's about time that we build infrastructure that is as resistant as is in case of earthquakes, for example.
Yeah, and unfortunately, people builders did not take, and civic authorities did not take enough message from the alarm bells around climate change, which have been ringing for a while. It's been decades that we've been talking about, about climate change, about global warming, about goals around, the Paris goals of 2025, etc. We've been talking about all these forever. But civic authorities and infra companies have not really taken very serious cognizance of these alarm bells. And this is the situation we find ourselves in. Now, the point is the enormous cost of life and property lost already, infrastructure damaged already, being rebuilt, and now hopefully rebuilt with more sustainable and more resilient technology is definitely need of the hour. But the point is, who's going to move the needle on that? And will companies really go ahead and invest in flyovers and underpasses with better drainage systems when the cost of building those would be 20%, 30% higher? And there is a cheaper tender without these these bells and whistles available with the same government departments who will be eventually given a contract. So I think this is something that the Minister of Infrastructure, Roads, Highways, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, has to himself get involved in. And beyond a point, I think a lot of emphasis from center, rather than leaving this tendering process only to the states, needs some sort of a very serious intervention.
Absolutely. I mean, as far as central government is concerned, it can only so much as take care of the national highways. The state infrastructure still belongs to state authorities, civic authorities, which is where they need to come in. And before I let you go, I think it's also important to note that this is, as I mentioned, not the first time, but it's also taking a toll at businesses, because yesterday on the show we had representation from the business community, and they talked about loss of work, they talked about employees and their concerns. So all in all, there's more to lose than just lives. If you don't care about lives as much, lives and livelihood, there is business loss. So governments lose net.
Correct. So yesterday, in fact, we did talk about this as well, Shweta, that movie halls going dry, restaurants, right, places to party, binge, right. I mean, all these places which those experiences which cannot be replicated online. I'm not talking just about meetings, I mean, connecting on a Zoom call is easy, but then there are brick and mortar companies and there are brick and mortar businesses that offer experiences or offer goods, products, which are eventually used for real consumption, taking a hit because of lack of infrastructure to support commute from point A to point B. So businesses, of course, will continue to take a hit until infrastructure is
physical
not fixed.
businesses taking a hit, but we don't know whether e-commerce players are taking a hit. We just discussed how e-commerce is doing well.